And now we go to the Glasser guest line right off the bat because there's also a golf tournament that you may have heard about that's happening tomorrow at Oakmont. The reason that PJ Glasser is not here is because he's going to that tournament, also known as the U.S. Open. And we bring in friend of the program, David Barnett, host of Tour Junkies, which you can follow on Twitter at Tour Junkies. David, welcome to the show. Excited for this tournament. Where are we? How excited are we for this tournament, first of all?
What's up, Jake? Thanks for having me, man. Always good to hop on with the MGM fam. PJ doing his thing. I guess a couple of us guys we got to work, right? Oakmont's gonna be awesome. It's one of my favorite U.S. Open venues. We haven't been here since 2016. It is a tough golf course. You just kind of know it going in. It's going to be a brute. DJ won it in 2016 at 4 under. There were a few guys at 1 under, and then from there it was just carnage. So if you like to sit back and watch guys struggle, makes you feel a little bit better about your own game, Oakmont's a good major for you to watch here for the U.S. Open.
Yeah, PJ Glasser doesn't want it bad enough, is what I always say about him. Just loves a day off. That guy, scared of the grind. And you said it, big week for fans of the course this week. And I think that leads to the first question. And I said this to you right before we came on the air. I got to ask you the Scotty Scheffler question because it seems like it might be a very high-scoring carnage, as you said it. And honestly, David, it reminds you of 2000 when Tiger was the only guy to finish under par, and the next closest was Ernie Els, who finished 13 strokes behind Tiger at the U.S. Open. Is that just what we're going to have here? Is there a chance that even though Scotty Scheffler is your favorite and he's shorter than 3-1, he's floating around plus 250, plus 275, and of course he's been playing awesome, head and shoulders above everybody else, but is there a chance we get something like the 2000 U.S. Open, David, where it's just Scotty and then the next closest, the person who finishes second, is over par and, double-digit strokes behind him?
I don't think so, and I think a lot of that's just because the fields are so much deeper now than they were back in Tiger's heyday. I mean, Tiger was obviously dominant. Scotty's having the closest thing to Tiger's dominance that we've seen in a long time or ever since Tiger. So, listen, should Scotty be plus 275? Yeah, I think he should. I think it's a fair number. At Oakmont and really at any major, it's all about no holes in the bag, right? Like no holes in the boat, no holes in the game. You have to do it all well. You have to drive the ball long. You have to drive the ball straight. You have to hit your mid irons and long irons well. You have to get up and down because you are inevitably going to miss greens at Oakmont. There's no way around it. So you got to have a little touch around the greens. And guess what? You got to make putts. So you have to do everything, and the guy who does everything the best is Scotty Scheffler. There is no doubt. So I think Scotty's going to be in the mix. The only thing I will say is, there is some variance to Oakmont. There's some randomness to Oakmont. These bunkers are brutal. All it takes is one crazy, fried egg plugged lie in a bunker, or Scotty hits a little wayward drive and he's in one of the church pew bunkers, right? And he's just got a mess of a lie late on Sunday, and anybody else could come and take it from him. So there's some variability that you just have to embrace when you're at Oakmont, but also like just the attitude, the demeanor that it takes to play well at Oakmont. Like I said, DJ won last time. You talk about a guy who just keeps it level, keeps it straight, doesn't get too high, too low, depending on the breaks that the golf course gives him or doesn't give him. Scotty checks that box too. So it does make sense that he's plus 275, but as a golf bettor and outright bettor, it's hard for me to take it, but it makes sense.
Dave, we'll get to your card in a second. I know you have a handful of bets all throughout the board at the top and some long shots as well. But first, I want to ask you, what are some guys that you are avoiding because Oakmont is going to be so variable and because there are going to be so many challenges here? Who are some guys that you're crossing off, you're staying away from, you don't want anything to do with them because of the course?
I think it's starting to go around. X and all the outlets are talking about Rory right now. He had the driver issue at the PGA. He's kind of been MIA since winning Augusta. Obviously, he's had an amazing year, but then he comes out last week at the RBC Canadian Open, shoots a 78 or something in round 2 to miss the cut. Listen, Rory's extremely talented, so he could turn it around like that. But for me, he's a guy that I don't – if you're not coming in firing on all cylinders at Oakmont, that's a problem, especially when you're the third highest guy and shortest guy on the odds board at 12-1 or whatever he is. Like that's 14-1. That's tough for me to swallow. It's not your run of the mill PGA Tour course. So I'm out on Rory. A couple other names at the top, like I think Colin Morikawa could do some damage here. He's not going to miss a lot of fairways. He's a great iron player, but the problem with a guy like Morikawa, the same problem I see with a guy like Victor Hovland, is those guys are still really struggling to chip the ball well. And you do have really thick rough at around the greens at Oakmont, which kind of helps bad chippers because they don't have to be as perfect with their contact as you would on a really tight surface. But nonetheless, like those guys are not doing it well around the greens. And late on a Sunday, I need a guy who I can trust when he misses a green, he can get up and down and save that par. So Morikawa, Hovland, a couple other big names that I'm out on.
Well, let's get to your bets. Let's get to your card, David. And you said Scotty's the favorite, but you're not going there. You're crossing off Rory. So the guys at the top, and we'll start there. And I think this one's pretty popular because of how he's been playing and because he is the reigning champ. But tell us about Bryson and why you think he has a chance this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Bryson at 7 plus 750, I think he is now. Makes a ton of sense to me. Obviously, yeah, did amazing work at last year's U.S. Open at Pinehurst. He's a two-time U.S. Open winner. The distance is obviously a huge advantage, but what I think we've seen evolve from Bryson in the last 2 years specifically is what I talked about with Morikawa and Hovland. It's his touch around the greens and the putter. Those things have evolved and gotten far better than they used to be, which is another reason why I think he's done well at Augusta the last couple of years. Whereas before Augusta was kind of a problem for him. Credit to him, right? Like he's added those weapons to the game, and I think that makes him a contender. Another guy who really does everything well. He knows how to win. He's not going to be intimidated if Scotty's up there on Sunday. So I think Bryson makes a ton of sense. I love him.
Bryson's the guy at the top of the board you like, but I know that you have some other long shots out there, mid to long shots. Tell us who else is on your card and break it down for us, your other outrights here.
So I've got Shane Lowry, the Irishman, Sepp Straka, Keegan Bradley, and Harris English. Shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs there, a couple of those guys, Sepp Straka and Harris English. I got to shout them out. Go Dogs. But really, Straka is one of my favorites, and he has been all year. Me and my co-host Pat have hit him every time he's won this year. I think he's won 2 times now, or maybe 3 in the last 12 months. He's upping his game in majors. So he's starting to pop in majors and do what you expect him to do in major championships. Again, a guy like really level, doesn't get too high, too low, depending on what's happening on the golf course, and no holes in the boat for Sepp Straka either. Doesn't have a ton of pop in the bat off the tee, but he's one of the more accurate drivers, and he's average distance. So it's not like he's short. So Sepp at 50, 40, 60 to 1, wherever you can find him, is a lock for me as a guy who could actually close the door and take advantage of a Scotty misstep or a Bryson misstep if we're talking about it late on Sunday. Harris English checks that box as well, around 100 to 1 or 80 to 1. Just another flat guy that just is rock solid through the bag. Great short game, just won a few weeks ago. Keegan Bradley and Shane Lowry, everybody knows who those guys are. Those are major champion winners. Those are Ryder Cuppers. If Shane and Keegan can putt, which is a big problem, if they can make those 5 to 10 footers to save par when they miss a green or a birdie on a par 5, then they are definitely going to be in contention because those guys are great ball strikers.
Talking to David Barnett, Tour Junkies, which you can follow at Tour Junkies on Twitter. Really quick, David, before we let you go, I know you have some other exotic bets out there, some group bets. Just tell the people what else you got cooking as far as some other stuff that isn't just the outright card.
Yeah, just to throw a little something in the mix. I was looking at the top nationality groups, which we get here in these majors on MGM. 2 that really stick out to me as well. One's kind of a lock, the other one not so much. But top Frenchman Victor Perez at plus 120. There aren't a lot of stud French golfers. Matthew Pavon is the next one that you're looking at, who's won on the PGA Tour, but not playing well right now. Victor just had a really good week at the RBC Canadian Open. He's a Ryder Cupper, and that matters because those are big events, and these are big, obviously, majors. So we need a guy that's got some experience playing in those. So I like Victor Perez as top Frenchman. And then top Irishman, if I'm down on Rory and I'm up on Shane Lowry is plus 120 to finish as the top Irishman to beat Rory. And I mean, last week, the last couple weeks they've played together in the same event, Shane's got the best of them. Shane's definitely in the better immediate form. Rory's won 3 times this year, I understand, but Shane is in the best immediate form right now. And I also think there's something going on behind the scenes with Rory not involving his game that may be holding him back a little bit. So I'm willing to take a risk that Shane can outdo his best mate there in Rory McIlroy's Top Irishman.
Love it. David Barnett, co-host of Tour Junkies. Follow him at Tour Junkies on Twitter. David, really appreciate it, and good luck this week, man.
Thanks for having me on, Jake. See you.